So
Can they let go of my hands?
yeah,
Appreciate it.
if you will go back in there and talk calmly and not get everybody riled up, you can finish your 3 minutes.
What just happened right now is enough. I'm not going to go back in there. No.
You got that young boy all fired up, and he got in your face.
Sir, you've heard of the heckler's veto, right?
Right.
So what y'all just did was y'all used the heckler's veto to throw a person speaking out of a meeting during their 3 minutes. You can't do that, sir.
What we did.
You just violated my civil rights.
What we did was we calmed a public meeting.
You could have removed the kid who heckled me. I had the floor, right? Why didn't you remove the kid who was heckling me who had the floor?
Because you were the one.
You made a
that were
mistake.
making the-
No, sir. I was the one. I had the
Whatever,
floor.
fine.
I had the
I
floor,
knew
right?
that I made a mistake.
I had the floor,
I knew
though, right? It would have been easier to remove the guy who didn't have the floor, who had not been recognized to speak.
Right.
I had been recognized to speak.
It
He
would
interrupted
also-
my 3 minutes,
It would have
right?
also been easier for you not to rile everybody up and just
Did not
from
speak.
the heart.
I was speaking from my.
You-
I didn't
you were giving a
I didn't even
speech.
get the words out of my mouth. Yes, you're absolutely right. I was giving a speech during my 3-minute speech time.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right.
You know what I was going to talk about?
What?
I was going to talk about representative government
Mm-hmm.
and how they used to think that we, the people, didn't need to be able to have a voice, that we needed to elect somebody smart
Right.
and rich to have that voice because we, the people, would screw things up
Right.
if it was the mob mentality.
Right.
That's what I was going to talk about, and how essentially here they've got a choice. Are they going to listen to the people? Are they going to go with that idea of I don't want to listen to the mob and I want to do the right thing? This is a land use issue and it affects the mob.
Right.
That's what I was going to talk about. That's how it relates to land use.
Right.
I didn't get the opportunity because I got interrupted.
Got a little out of hand.
I didn't get out of hand.
Everybody got out of hand.
Sir, I don't, again, the heckler's veto.
That's fine.
The heckler's veto.
That's fine.
And there's literally case law on that in the 10th
You're in the
Circuit.
center of it. We removed the center.
But they used force.
If you would like to reclaim your time.
No,
will put
I
that-
think I've got enough for dealing with this where I want to deal with this, and I think that was a huge mistake. I think it gives me I just got thrown out of an open meeting for speaking in an open meeting.
While you had the floor.
I think while I had the floor, guys, I think that
You're welcome.
I think no, they ordered you to get me out. So look, at the end of the day, I want Sand Springs.
There are remedies, and obviously you know
That
those
remedy,
are. So you
I know
can
what that remedy
exercise
is.
your rights to do that.
So, Linda Mood and Hoffman, I need to have those things for cards because I'm going to have to sue you guys. Did you put your hands on me? No? So, did you put your hands on me, Burgess? Okay.
Thank you.
Chief Deputy, I'm going to go at that point. I don't
Okay.
think there's anything left to get here. I think my First Amendment activities have been chilled. I don't want to risk further battery by law enforcement.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Right on, Ron.
Welcome back, everybody. We're just going to jump right into it. So this video comes from my neck of the woods here in Oklahoma. As you can see, you see an activist here. His name is Ron Durbin, and he is being confronted by the Sand Springs Police Department. The chief looks like is leading the way on this one, and they've essentially excluded him from public forum because somebody from the council meeting. I don't even think it was a council member, but somebody in the meeting, a citizen, was upset, and there were some words, and it got heated. Therefore, the logical thing that they thought to do was to remove the person that had the floor at the time. And so Ron Durbin is actually uniquely set up for this type of encounter because he's a former Tulsa attorney, and his license, the last that I can see, was suspended by the Oklahoma Supreme Court. And I know there's been a bunch of news articles about whether he's going to go through the process of getting it back and this, that, and the other. But until that becomes a reality, we'll just leave it at that. Now, Ron likes to go across eastern Oklahoma, all of Oklahoma, but recently he's been going across eastern Oklahoma, and he's teamed up with some other First Amendment activists, and he's really been going after it. And, I have to give credit where it's due because he does utilize very good tactics to get a rise out of people. And what do I mean by that? Well, Ron Durbin, I would say he uses the big city tactics. And I just use big city tactics because they're where I've seen them used as big cities. So the last, I would say, real big city that I've worked for was Portland, Oregon. Kind of a big city, right? Bigger than any city here in Oklahoma. And these were tactics that have been used spanning more than 2 decades. And so what he's been doing as of recently is uncovering some very uncomfortable truths and exposing them, and that causes people to feel a certain kind of way. And Eastern Oklahoma, let me just say, has not been exposed to the First Amendment auditing world. They really haven't. And so a lot of law enforcement and a lot of everyday people, they're just not used to First Amendment auditing, and so they tend to act out. I'll just call it what it is, because this is not something that is commonly seen here. And so to have somebody that actually knows case law, that actually knows law, knows how law is practiced, to have them engage in such activities, as you can see, can be really beneficial if you're looking for, civil lawsuits and 42 USC 1983 type suits, and that's what he lives for. And so, as of recently, right, for example, let me give you an example of something that was brought to light very recently. There was a former Vian police officer who lateraled to Porham's Landing, who's having an affair on his wife. And so somehow these activists were able to get a whole bunch of juicy messages and get a whole bunch of information, and they just threw it out there, contacted Porham's Landing. How could you hire a guy? Do you guys even do backgrounds? Is this who you want representing your city? He cheats on his wife. How could you hire somebody? What does that say about you? Why are you protecting him? And they just, full on pressure campaign. And, it's like, wow, that's pretty intense. And so for people that aren't used to that, like, you can see how that can be distracting at minimum. And so, what came of that, the officer resigned. The officer also was like, hey, having mental health ideations, stuff like that, talking about, self-harm, things like that. And so, as you can see, the end result was, a whole mess. And so that's what these First Amendment activists do. They get intel on different things. And I'm not even saying that that's right or wrong. I'm just telling you factually what happens. And so then they put full pressure smear campaign. And so I say this to say we do have case law on this. And unfortunately, most cops are completely unaware that there's case law on this. So I would call this the heckler's veto case law. So Terminello versus City of Chicago, 1949, United States Supreme Court held that a breach of peace ordinance of the City of Chicago that bans speech that stirs public to anger, advice dispute, or brings about a condition of unrest or creates a disturbance was unconstitutional under the First and 14th Amendment United States Constitution. So essentially what's being stated here is that just because somebody's uncomfortable with the language that you're using doesn't mean that it's criminal. Doesn't mean you can automatically exclude people. And so there's this idea, and I see it a lot here in Eastern Oklahoma, that if a law enforcement officer responds to something and you have 15 people that are in a business, or 15 people are like, hey, he's going out here and he's emphatically saying that this cop is sleeping around on his wife, and he's showing everybody messages, and he keeps saying that he's sleeping around on his wife, and that's just really making us upset. Therefore, we want you to arrest him. There's a lot of cops that are like, okay, well, do you want to press charges? And it's like almost a numbers game. Okay, well, 15 people want to press charges. I'm arresting you for disturbing the peace or disorderly conduct. And it's like, that's not how it works, right? But they don't know what they don't know. And again, I don't know how they're taught as far as academy goes, right? I never been through the Oklahoma Academy. It's called CLEAT, Council and Law Enforcement Education Training. I went through DPSST in Oregon, lateraled over, took the reciprocity test, got a police certification. So I'm not really sure what they're taught at the academy. I'm also not sure what they're taught necessarily, department-wise as far as FTOing goes, field training. But I can tell you that's a huge common misconception that I've had many conversations with law enforcement about. And again, it's unfortunate because you have these officers that are just kind of standing around here. I'm looking at these officers, and I don't really think they understand really the case law precedents of what's going on here. And it's clear that Ron has no interest in going back in there and explaining. He has no interest in that because he's already had his rights violated. So he's not really interested in having that conversation, which makes complete sense because he's getting everything he needs from this encounter, right? He's being forcefully, thrown out. So it's one of those things where it's clear the reason for why he was there. And again, very, very good at what he does. He gets an A+ for getting people stirred up. So again, I just really want to just make this case law known and just let everybody out there know, especially law enforcement, there is case law on this. And unfortunately, I feel like too many times law enforcement officers are, put in bad position, right? You may not even know this case law exists, but your chief is telling you, hey, he's disturbing the peace, go arrest him. Or a city council member says he's disturbing the peace, mayor, city manager, hey, he's disturbing the peace. Clearly he's disturbing the peace. He's saying stuff that we don't like. Everybody's upset, go arrest him. And that happens more frequently than people realize. So if you're a cop out there, I'm not telling you what to do. Just know that there's Supreme Court case precedents that says that you can't do that. And if you choose to do it anyway, just remember, and I tell this to cops all the time, your chief is not going to lose his qualified immunity if you make the arrest, right? It's not on him, it's on you. Your non-sworn mayor, city manager, they're not going to have to get on the hot seat and explain why they violated somebody's rights. You are. And so for me, that's why knowledge is so powerful. I mean, I don't care who you are. I'm not going to violate somebody's rights because you tell me to. And if that's going to mean repercussions, cool. Let's do it, So just keep that in mind. And again, I can't speak for everybody. I can just speak for myself. I know what I'm willing to do to defend the Constitution. Because I took an oath of affirmation that has no expiration date. But what you decide to do, that's on you. I would just encourage you to know the case law, encourage you not to be these officers that are just standing here seemingly completely ignorant to what's happening. So I hope this video is helpful for you guys. I'm curious, what do you guys think about this whole situation? What do you think of Ron's tactics? What do you think of how this police chief handled this? What do you think about the officers standing around? I want to know what your whole opinion is on the whole situation. So let me know in the comment section below. As always, long live the Republic.